It's me. It's me.
How have you been? I saw you about a month ago, I think.
Yes, I've been okay, thank you. Yeah, been busy
Yeah.
doing this. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We got two more shows to do tonight, and but in the meantime, we got Jennifer back. And if you don't know, if you didn't see Jennifer last time, what I will do is ask her if to, um, you know, tell you about herself. Really, Jennifer, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Steve. Well, my name is Jennifer Rose Asher, and I have written a book. It is a memoir about the adoption of my daughter. And it's kind of a crazy story, but it's about how it's a little bit of a self discovery story and about me learning to follow the universe and pay attention and recognize when things aren't working and shift gears. So it's a great book for this period of time in our lives when everybody's having to shift gears all the time. But it's specifically an adoption story.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning because we've got more people on tonight, actually. So on our radio, and tell everybody what happened in the beginning because you did the adoption, didn't you?
Mhm.
And can you carry on telling us?
Well, the adoption is actually the end of the book. Is when we actually found my daughter. But what the book is about is it's about me deciding that I wanted to have a baby, and then I went through a couple of miscarriages, which I describe in the book, and then after I went through the two miscarriages. We decided we wanted to adopt. Went on a crazy whirlwind trip to Vietnam because that's where we had found a child. Everything went wrong while I was there. It just there was one mishap after another, and I was bound and determined to make it happen, and it just wasn't happening. And when I got back to the United States, I learned from the agency that they were terminating all of the adoptions in Vietnam because of the political climate at the time and just what was going on there. And we looked everywhere, and we applied to like five different countries, and I spoke with several adoption agencies all over the United States, and said we only want a baby that's has already been born. We don't want to be matched with a pregnant birth mom. We were too nervous about that. So a couple weeks later, this woman at an adoption agency had remembered talking to me, and they had a Vietnamese couple actually give birth in Oklahoma, and they didn't have an adoption plan. They called this agency, and the agency didn't have a family willing to take this child that was a good match for the baby. And so they remembered talking to me. They remembered that I'd gone to Vietnam, and they called and said, "Can you get down here tonight?" So we actually found our Vietnamese child in Oklahoma. Um, and that's basically the story. But it's really all kinds of crazy things happened along the way, and it was really about me kind of paying attention to, okay, this is the universe telling you that things aren't right, and you need to be looking a different direction.
Correct. And what happened was you found your daughter. You found you found a little girl. You adopted a daughter. Your daughter. And
Yes,
how old is she now?
she is 20. This was in
She's 20.
2001. Yes.
Yeah, gosh. And so what's up? So what do you think now, looking back, about the whole adoption process? Do you think it's easy, or do you think it's more harder for people to adopt?
To adopt now. Um, well, I think I think adoption is important. I think it's a hugely important just custom and thing that happens. I mean, adoption goes back to the Bible. Moses, they found Moses in a basket on the river. And it's very important. And I think it always will be. The process is not easy in any country, no matter where you live and no matter where you're adopting from, but it's so worth it. And that's really why I wrote the book, is because it's not an easy process. It's not like you get pregnant and all of a sudden there's a baby 9 months later. You have no idea how long it's going to last. You have no idea where your baby might come from or what your baby might look like, or if it'll be a baby. Maybe it'll be an older child. You never really know. So I really wrote this book to help inspire and give strength to families who are going through that process. I worked in adoption for several years, and I was proven time and again that every family finds the child that's meant for them. And I have, dozens of stories of these amazing families and these amazing children that were brought together perfectly. And there's a lot of trust and faith that has to happen in this process, and families need to really believe that it's going to happen how it's supposed to.
Right, but the flip side of it, with adoption, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of what can I say? In my kind of words, backhanders, isn't it? It's where adoptions can be usually falsely done, where people can kind of like go over somewhere and get a baby and then bring it back and pay, you know, um, thousands of pounds
Mm-hmm.
for the baby and everything. So it's a lot of false. There's a lot of kind of like taking children away from their mothers and selling them, and the mothers don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened in the past. I don't know of any place where it's happening right now. It was suspected that was what was going on in Vietnam while I was there. I don't know exactly what was going on while I was there.
Well,
Obviously, I was just an
yeah.
adoptive parent.
Well, can I just say something to you?
Yes.
In Vietnam, there was, hang on for a second, there were, um, sorry, got to go through my notes. There
No
are
problem.
3,000 babies taken from Vietnam and
Mhm.
falsely taken, right, in 1 month.
Wow. I don't know about that. I know when I was there, and I really only know about the adoptions to the United States. I know every country has their own requirements, both the adopting country that the family's coming from and where the baby's coming from. So, in this particular case, we had to abide by the laws of Vietnam, and we had to have all the proper paperwork for Vietnam. We also had to have whatever the United States required as proper paperwork. Now, when I went to Vietnam, which was in 2001, there was some corruption like this, and there were things going on like this. At least it was suspected there was such. But at that time, when I came home, and that was probably why I had all the difficulties that I had. They terminated all the adoptions in the United States from Vietnam, and they rehashed their process, and they came up with additional paperwork to make sure that birth mothers knew that these children were being placed for adoption. They were not going to be expecting that they could go back and get them. So at least for the United States, I believe that the powers that be believe they have put into place safeguards against that. Now, I don't know if that's still happening with adoptions to other countries from Vietnam. I don't know anything about that.
Right, okay. Now, um, when you was working as adoption, consultant,
Mhm.
what was that like?
Well, it was mostly providing a lot of counseling and emotional support to adoptive families. I helped them a little bit with the logistics of it as well, particularly things like I dealt mostly when I worked as an adoption consultant. I dealt mostly with families who were adopting within the United States. So they were usually matched to a pregnant birth mom. So I helped talk to them about the types of things to say and how to have conversations that were appropriate and healing for both the adoptive family and for the birth mom or birth parents. So I coached them a lot on that, and really just a lot of kind of my background is in counseling psychology. So just kind of talking them through and helping them through the emotional difficulties of going through this whole process.
Right. Okay. And because you yourself, I hope you don't mind, you
Nope,
yourself had two miscarriages, didn't you?
I did.
And what was that like? Because you were thinking, "Gosh, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a baby," and next minute you lose one, then you kind of like get pregnant again, and you have another miscarriage. That must have been thinking. You must have been really, really kind of like depressed and down.
Well, I think I was more upset with the first one. The second one, I kind of had a contingency plan. And I wrote about all of this in the book.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with the first, but with the first miscarriage, I got pregnant very easily, and I just, was planning to have a baby. I really didn't even consider anything else. But after the first one, my husband and I discussed it, and did we want to try again? And he said we can try one more time. So, but it was always, in the back of both of our heads that the same thing could happen again. So I think the second miscarriage was a little bit easier for me to handle, even though I didn't really believe I would miscarry a second time. But because I had been through it before and I believed it was a possibility.
Yeah, yeah. And because what you're doing now really is you're kind of like you've written this book so you
Hmm.
can tell families about your story and what you've been through and coming up to the end. And
Yeah.
you mention in your book you say that you had a lot of struggles in your life and about adoption. You made multiple approaches for
Yes.
looking for your right child and everything.
Yes.
That must have been really hard for you after having losing your two miscarriages.
It was really hard. In fact, I think possibly even harder than the miscarriages was the baby that I met in Vietnam. I met a baby in Vietnam who I kind of fell in love with. I kind of just looked into this baby's eyes, and her eyes met mine, and I felt that this was supposed to be my child. And I held her and I cared for her, and I played with her for a while. And then the next day I met her at the doctor's office so that she could be examined and make sure she was healthy. I mean, I really, really felt attached to that child. And when I found out that all the adoptions from Vietnam were being terminated, that was a huge loss for me. It was a huge loss. It felt like losing a child because I actually met this baby. I held this baby. I loved this baby. Um, it, you know, and kind of a twist that I reveal in the afterword of my book is that I did find the baby. I know where she is. She's right with where she's supposed to be with the most wonderful family, and they're so happy. And I know it has a happy ending. And the nice thing about it is my daughter still keeps in touch with her. She doesn't live anywhere near here. She lives in a different country, in fact. And but my daughter keeps in touch with her, and they kind of consider each other to be somehow sisters.
Yeah, yeah, and also, you're a proud mum, of a daughter. You have two sons.
Yes.
You know, you've done quite well in your life, really, because you had a bachelor's degree in finance. Gosh, that's
Hmm.
that's an achievement and everything. But and it shows that you know you sometimes we all have our good times, and when life hits us in the face, the struggle starts to kind of like get out of that problem. And with you, your battles and your adoption process and what you've done, have you learned from that?
Have I learned from it? Yes. And really that's the true story behind the book. And that it's really, as much as it's a story about the adoption, and that's definitely the text of the book, in the story is about the adoption, but what it's really about is about me learning how to manage these things, and that things aren't going to always go the way you expect them. And sometimes those hurdles are there for a reason. And I had to go through everything that I went through to find my daughter, to find the right child for me. And that's really the message of the book, is, you know, things don't always work out the way you think they're going to, but it happens how it's supposed to happen. And letting go just a little bit of the control of where your life is going is going to lead you probably down a better path than if you try and control every little thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because then because, but in this year, because you kind of like supporting all your family, and this year, but you started kind of like raising awareness what you've been through, and that's why you did this book. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I wrote this book, actually. The first draft I wrote a very long time ago, and I wrote it only because so many crazy things happened on the journey that I wanted to be sure to write it down, because I wanted to tell my daughter everything that I went through to find her. Um, when I worked in adoption consulting, I was many of my clients asked me to publish my story, because I would often tell them this story as a hopeful kind of story, and look, everything's going to happen how it's supposed to. This is what happened to me, and they all encouraged me to publish it, but it was too emotional for me back then. I tried to
Hmm.
reread it, and I just cried the whole time. I couldn't do it. But last year with COVID, we were all stuck in the house. Everybody's life changed, and I also knew that it was a really, really hard time for adoptive families. There weren't a lot of babies being born. Everybody, there were so many challenges in 2020 and 2021. And I really wanted to give back. I wanted to do something to help people in some way. And I was reminded, again, the universe kind of intervened and kept throwing in my face that I needed to be an author. And and so that's exactly what I did. I pulled the story off the computer. I got involved in a program. I edited it and rewrote the entire thing, really to help adoptive families through that waiting time that's so difficult.
It is. It can be difficult because because people could be waiting for months or years for
Yes.
adoption, can't they?
Yes, it can take a
Like,
long time.
yeah, yeah. And but now what's life like now for you?
It's super busy.
Oh,
Right now, I'm in the middle of promoting this book, which has taken a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's been really rewarding, but it's been hard. I'm going through a pre-sale campaign right now. I have 1 week left, and I have to meet the minimum to prove my audience to get the book published. Um, so I'm working on that really hard. I reach out to people every day, asking them to please support me in this journey. I really want to get the story out there. It's expected to be published in December of this year. If I can get through this pre-sale campaign and just make this last push to raise the funds needed and prove my audience,
so
that's what I've been working on.
what do you want people to do, especially us to do?
I would love if your audience could go onto my website, which is journeytomydaughter.com, um, and take a look. There's a button that leads directly to the Indiegogo campaign, and take a look. Even if you're overseas, I recommend, if you're in England, to order an ebook. You can order an ebook for just $15, and you get access to the ebook when the book is published. You also, there's lots of fun perks, like you get to be in my author community. You can help me choose the cover for my book. We don't have cover designs yet, and I'm going to be asking my author community to vote and help me choose that. You'll also get early access to the introduction and some select chapters that you'll be able to read before the book is even published, and you'll be actually even able to give me some feedback on those select chapters. So it's really fun.
And also,
Yeah.
you have a fundraising page too, don't you?
Yes, it's on the Indiegogo platform. If you go to Indiegogo campaign, or Indiegogo.com, you can put in my name and just Jennifer Rose Asher, and it'll come right up. Or you can put in Journey to My Daughter, which is the name of the book, but you can
Mm.
get to it from my website. There's a link onto to the fundraising campaign, from my website, and it's, you can make a donation, but please order the ebook. I really want to share the story. I'm not just trying to raise funds, which is definitely lovely, but I also I really want to share the story.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to inspire others.
We have got quite a few people want to say some stuff. Yeah. Um, Mandy, all the way from Ireland. She's saying, hi Jennifer. I've been for adoption and it's been really hard process for me. I had to wait for 2 years before I got my son. I am now so happy that I got my son. And um, the adoption can be really stressful at times, but we got where we got where we got to, and we're so happy. Um,
That's
Luke
wonderful.
Luke said, me and my wife we adopted a little girl from Thailand,
Mm.
and so yeah, well done. Steve, thank you very much for this. This was an eye opening, and I love Jennifer. You should try to get her back some other time. Well, this is the second time we've had her back, guys, but we will do. We will do if she wants
And
to come.
anyone can absolutely, and anyone can contact me on social media. Again, my name is Jennifer Rose Asher, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Feel free to send me a message. To adoptive parents who have already adopted, I am offering a special that I'm just releasing today. When Hillary was a baby, when my daughter was a baby, I read a book by Sherry Eldridge that many people know of called 20 Things Adoptive Kids Wish Their Adoptive Families Knew. And one of the things that was so important in this book was for adopted children to always know their story and to know it from a very, very early age. So, due to that book that I read, I wrote a baby book for Hillary when she was less than a year old, telling basically this whole story of
Hmm.
Journey to My Daughter in language for a 1 year old. So I've been asked, and I've agreed to offer for only for a few people. If you go on my campaign page, there's a very special perk that is available, and it is for $150. I will help you write your own baby book um, in age-appropriate language to tell your child's story in the terms that you want it. And there's so many benefits to doing this. Um, if you tell, we used to read this book with my daughter every night before she went to bed. So she always knew she was adopted. She always knew she was loved. She always knew how much she was wanted. And it was concrete. And she could always go back to it. If she ever had questions or was wondering, where did I come from? Did my parents really want me? Um, she could always go back to this concrete story. And every adoption story is a little bit different. So I've been asked to offer this, and it's something that I'm offering as a, kind of a special option for people if they want to tell their child their own story. I can help you do that.
What we will do, we'll advertise all this on my website and also on my page for you.
Great.
All
Thank you
right,
so
we'll do all
much.
that for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
Linda wants to know, what's it like what's it like to go for adoption? Me and my husband are thinking about going for it for adoption. And what is the criteria?
Well, the criteria really varies based on where you live and where you want to adopt from. So you'll need to talk to somebody locally to find out exactly what's required in your area. As far as in the end, I'll tell you, it's the most rewarding, incredible thing. I can't even imagine my life without my daughter. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. The process is not easy, but it is so worth it. Um, and you just have to open your heart and be ready for that and understand that it's not like the typical having a baby. Like I said earlier, it's not like you just get pregnant and 9 months later there's a baby. There's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know how long it's going to take, but in the end it is 100% the best thing I've ever done.
Right, brilliant, very good. Mandy wants to know, from Swindon here in the UK. Hi, Steve. I've been for adoption myself, and it's the best thing I ever done. Me and my husband couldn't have children, so we adopted. Congratulations to Jennifer. I will support her in her book, and I will also make a donation to her page. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope to see you again on Steve's show. All the best. Then you got Glenda from Illinois. Hi, Steve. Would it be possible if you can say hello to Jennifer? Well, you can contact Jennifer herself. She will talk to you. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm from
So,
Illinois. I actually was living outside of Chicago when we adopted Hillary.
so are you from? So you're
I was from Illinois. I grew up outside of
all right.
Chicago,
Okay.
and that's where we lived when we adopted Hillary. We now live in Texas.
Well, there you go, guys. That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Glenda,
Sorry.
I hope you'll take a look at my page and feel free to send me a private message or an email. I'm more than happy to chat with you.
Right, guys. Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Steve.
You are very good, very good. And thank you for listening to your story. We will kind of like try to get you back because everybody keeps on saying, "Can we have you back?" And all that. If that's all right
Oh,
with you,
wonderful. Yes, wonderful. Maybe I can come back in December when I can actually have the book in hand.
yeah, come back in December. But what we'll do, we'll make a date with you, and then we know that it's that
Perfect.
we got you in. Okay, thank you, folks. Jennifer, please contact Jennifer. She's got a wonderful story. She's got some books coming out. She's got a book, and also she can even help you, prepare her own, like a children's book. That's going to be interesting. I wish I had younger children. I could kind of like, I would love one of them. But at the end of the
Excellent.
day, contact her, please, because she is a wonderful person, and I wish you all the best. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.